Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Corpsewade Iron Greaves, and these are actually really interesting. They grant you the skill Decompose, which is, we'll talk about that in a second. So first off, they're boots, obviously. They also give you armor only, so they're not evasion or energy shield, they're only armor. They have a level requirement of level 11 and a strength requirement of 20, so not too bad. They grant the skill level 9 Decompose. If you hold your mouse over it, it will show it to you, like you basically just hold Alt. And it says, consumes a corpse to create a cloud of flammable poisonous gas. Any burning effects or detonator skills will explode the gas cloud, creating a fiery explosion. Poisons enemies as though dealing chaos damage equal to 34% of the corpse's maximum life. Gains 50% more area of effect per second up to a maximum of 200%. Cloud duration is 4 seconds. Cloud radius is 1.6 meters. Metres. Additional effects from quality. So this is if you have quality on a skill, it does have cloud duration increased by 1 second. There's also the explosion part of it, though, which is critical hit chance 8%. It deals 70 to 106 fire damage, which is rather interesting. Then we also have the ability itself, so the stats itself. It does have 30 to 50% increased armor, which of course is going to reduce your physical damage taken. We also have 5 to 10 strength, which is going to give you life, and is also going to make it easier for you to utilize equipment as well as spells. Basically anything that has a strength requirement on it. You'll notice that, like, for instance, if you're taking a look at an ability, it'll tell you that it requires, this one requires 59 strength, and this one requires no strength because it's a spell, it's intelligence only, and so forth and so on. So just having large amounts of strength definitely doesn't hurt if you're trying to build for strength abilities. It also has 10% increased movement speed, which is very nice. I mean, who doesn't like 10% increased movement speed? Boots, having movement speed on boots is very, very nice. And then on top of that, we also have the main effect, which is trigger decompose on skill step. So it basically, when you're moving around, it's going to trigger the ability to decompose, and it's going to automatically use it, essentially, as you're walking around. We're going to have to play around with those. The flavor text on this says, natural decay can be twisted to dark ends. Alright, so let's go outside and let's take a look at these and let's see how they function, right? Why not? So I'm assuming for these to work, we're going to need to kill things. And have some corpses on the ground so that the decompose can cause them to explode. So this is very much so going to be considered an on-kill kind of ability, because of course it does have to explode the corpse. But as you can see, I'm already getting some little poison clouds and stuff from the bodies. It's actually really neat. Let's just fire off a couple of grenades. Hopefully that'll give us some corpses. Unfortunately, it's kind of incompatible with my current build, I'm noticing. And it's really just because I am destroying the corpses. So you would definitely not want to use these boots with a build that shatters the corpses. Or if you are relying on those corpses for whatever reason, that's also another downside. Because, you know, obviously shattering the corpse is definitely going to be a bad thing in terms of that. It grants the skill to you as well, so it's not like you couldn't just cast it. So it should be on the bar. Yep, there it is. Which means that we should be able also to add modifiers to it. So if we wanted to add support gems to Decompose, I'm sure that there's some support gems we could potentially utilize. Decompose is what? AoE Fire Chaos Duration. So maybe something like Persistence wouldn't be a bad one to increase the duration of it. Persistence is this one right here. I'm already using 2 of this particular support gem at the moment. But as you can see, it does have a 40% increased skill effect duration. You could also potentially be using something to help with the poison, or for instance, corrosion could be used here to break monsters' armor equal to 80% of the poison dealt. And since Decompose is, of course, dishing out poison damage, there's also that. It also does fire damage on the explosion, so potentially something to do with maybe ignition to try and get it to light targets on fire. I'm also kind of curious, is the cloud detonatable? I didn't really try to detonate it earlier, But maybe it's detonatable. I don't know. I have a detonator skill, so one of my main skills, explosive shot, is labeled as a detonator. And when you use it, as you can see, it has the detonator tag. When you use it on a cloud, a lot of the times you can explode said cloud. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if I can get another cloud to happen here. Unfortunately, this, like I said, this build is just not really set up for using this pair of boots. But here we go. It looked like I did detonate it. I want to say the answer is yes. Well, that's rather interesting. Ooh, some booties. And a vision rune. So yes, I definitely can detonate the cloud. That's rather interesting. So it could be used with a build like this. Maybe not a ice build like I currently am, but could be utilized with a fire build to get the explosions going off as well. And you know, obviously this is a actual skill. I think that a lot of people have access to on. I think was it the witch? I think it's the witch's skill, right? Not that necessarily any skill belongs to any character, but I think this one is technically the witch's. Let's see what the booties are. Energy shield, mana, fire res, stun threshold. I don't know. These boots look like they could be rather interesting. I mean, first off, they're obviously consuming corpses, which is sometimes a good thing. There are monsters in the game that can explode corpses. On top of that, it's also causing a poison cloud to pop up, which is extra damage. As you could clearly see, I was able to detonate the poison cloud, so there's also that. Apparently, the explosion from the poison cloud does fire damage. According to the skill text here, it states deals 70 to 106 fire damage, so if you explode the poison cloud. So either you keep the poison cloud, dish out poison damage, or you can explode the poison cloud to deal fire damage, which are both kind of interesting ways to go about it. I mean, it's a decent pair of boots. It comes with movement speed, has some interesting effects, explodes corpses, adds poison damage to your character. I mean, obviously, if you had like a really good pair of boots like mine right now have life and mana and armor and resistances and like, you know, they're pretty solid boots. I wish they had some movement speed on them, but these seem like they could be interesting too. I'm not entirely sure what kind of build I would use them in, but I mean, even if you just slap these on like a poison character, it could just be another additional poison that you're adding into the total poisons. Poisoning a large number of monsters, making sure they're all poisoned at all times. And on top of that, it's also based on the monster's life. So the bigger and the badder this monster is, the more damage it's going to put out. The graphic on these is kind of grody. They look like, I don't even know, like really ratty boots and like the toes are hanging out and stuff. I don't even know. Can you like see them if I put them on? Are my toes hanging out? Yes, they are. Look like they're all rotted. Look like I got rotted feet. That's what you. That's when they. When they say put the stank on it. Then you putting the stank on it. A natural decay can be twisted to dark ends. If I wasn't a freeze character, I'd be tempted to put those on myself right now, but I don't get any corpses. I mean, another downside is, of course, that, you know, like, if you are relying on corpses, it's going to eat up all your corpses. So that's also another thing. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these fun little videos, especially when we're just talking about a pair of toxic, decaying booties. And as always, keep watching.